are some television partnerships that remain memorable long.
Screen chemistry to a secret love story? Part 1. There are some television partnerships that remain memorable long after the final scene fades from the screen. The actors may move on to new projects, new characters, and new chapters in their personal lives. But audiences continue to remember the special connection they once saw between them. For many viewers, Barış Arduc and Elçin Sangu became one of those unforgettable pairings. Their performances together created a warm, emotional, and playful dynamic that captured attention far beyond the story they were portraying. Their characters seemed to understand each other with a simple glance, a smile, or a quiet moment, and fans naturally began wondering whether the remarkable chemistry they saw on screen came entirely from acting or whether there was something deeper behind it. That question has continued to inspire countless conversations among viewers who remember their memorable partnership. Yet, before turning that curiosity into a romance story, it is important to separate imagination from confirmed reality. There is no verified evidence establishing that Barış Arduc and Elçin Sangu secretly had a romantic relationship. What can be explored, however, is the fascinating story of how two talented performers created such convincing chemistry that audiences began imagining a love story beyond the screen. Their journey became especially memorable through the popular Turkish series Kiralık Aşk, where Barış Arduc portrayed Ömer and Elçin Sangu portrayed Defne. From the earliest episodes, viewers noticed that the two characters had a distinctive rhythm. Their conversations could be playful one moment and deeply emotional the next. Their disagreements never seemed to erase the feeling that something important connected them, and their quieter scenes often carried just as much emotion as their dramatic moments. For audiences watching from home, it was easy to become invested in the relationship between Ömer and Defne. The success of that fictional romance also meant that Baris and Elcin were increasingly viewed together by the public. Interviews, promotional appearances, photographs, and behind-the-scenes moments became subjects of attention. Every smile could become a topic of discussion, and every friendly exchange could inspire another question from fans. But the reality of creating convincing television chemistry is much more complicated than what appears on screen. Actors spend months working closely together, learning their characters, rehearsing scenes, understanding timing, and responding to one another's performances. When two performers are particularly comfortable working together, that connection can become visible to the audience. Barış Arduc and Elçin Sangu appeared to have a strong professional understanding, and that helped their characters feel believable. Their ability to react naturally to each other made their scenes feel spontaneous, even though television production requires careful preparation. A pause, a glance, or a smile that looks completely natural may actually be the result of two actors who have developed an excellent sense of timing. For viewers, however, the distinction between professional chemistry and personal affection can sometimes become difficult to recognize. As the popularity of the series grew, so did public fascination with its leading pair. Fans began collecting favorite scenes and discussing memorable moments online. Some viewers admired the characters' relationship, while others became interested in the actors themselves. Questions about whether the two stars were close away from the cameras became increasingly common. This is where the idea of a secret love story began to sound attractive as a fictional possibility. If two actors could make a fictional romance feel so genuine, perhaps, fans wondered, there was another story that the public did not know. But fascination is not proof, and the absence of confirmation means such claims should remain in the realm of speculation rather than fact. Still, imagine the atmosphere around a successful television production during those years. Two young stars suddenly find themselves at the center of enormous attention. Every public appearance is photographed. Every interview is watched carefully. Their fictional relationship becomes one of the main reasons audiences return week after week. Their names begin appearing together so frequently that people naturally associate them with one another. In such an environment, even an ordinary friendly interaction can appear mysterious when viewed through the eyes of an excited audience. A shared laugh may become a headline. A warm comment may become a theory. A photograph may inspire thousands of interpretations. And once a theory begins circulating, it can become surprisingly difficult to distinguish from reality. For Baris and Elcin, the most important story remained the work itself. Their performances brought emotional depth to the characters they portrayed, and their partnership became one of the defining elements of the show's appeal. Their success was not simply based on appearance or popularity. It came from their ability to make viewers believe in the emotional journey of Omer and Defne. Their scenes could move from humor to seriousness without feeling forced. That balance required trust between performers. The more naturally they responded to one another, the more believable their characters became. Behind the scenes, actors also develop professional friendships and working relationships that may never be fully visible to the audience. Spending long hours together on a production naturally creates familiarity. Cast members celebrate successful scenes, support one another during demanding filming schedules, and share experiences that can create lasting bonds. None of this automatically means romance. Friendship, respect, trust, and professional admiration can be powerful enough to create the kind of chemistry viewers notice. In fact, one of the most interesting parts of their story is precisely this uncertainty. The audience saw something special, but only the people involved truly knew what their private relationship was like. As years passed, the question continued to return whenever Barış Arduc and Elçin Sangu were mentioned together. Could their extraordinary on-screen connection have reflected a deeper personal bond? Or was their chemistry simply the result of two skilled actors who understood exactly how to bring their characters to life? There is no reliable evidence that proves a secret romance between them, so the most responsible answer remains that their relationship should be understood primarily through their professional work and publicly known interactions. Yet the mystery itself explains why their pairing remains so memorable. Perhaps that is the real magic of great television chemistry. When actors perform convincingly enough, viewers stop seeing two performers and begin seeing the characters as real people. Their happiness feels personal. Their disagreements feel meaningful. Their reunions feel emotional. And when the story ends, audiences sometimes continue imagining what might have happened after the final scene. In the case of Barış Arduc and Elçin Sangu, that imagination created a fascinating question that continues to attract attention. What if the connection audiences loved on screen had another chapter away from the cameras? The answer may never be the dramatic secret some fans imagine, but the story of their unforgettable partnership does not need an unconfirmed romance to be fascinating. Two performers created characters that captured the hearts of millions of viewers, and their chemistry became part of Turkish television history. The rumors, theories, and questions simply show how strongly audiences connected with the fictional love story they witnessed. And perhaps the most intriguing part is still ahead. Because once a screen partnership becomes this beloved, even the smallest moment from an interview, an old photograph, or a remembered scene can suddenly make fans look back and ask the same question all over again. Was there ever something more behind that unforgettable chemistry? Or was the magic simply the result of two exceptional actors doing their jobs extraordinarily well? As the popularity of Kyrillic Ask continued to grow, the names Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu became almost inseparable in the minds of many viewers. Their characters, Omer and Defne, had already captured the imagination of audiences, but something about the way the two actors worked together made the story feel unusually convincing. Their conversations carried an effortless rhythm, their emotional scenes felt sincere, and their lighter moments often seemed completely natural. For viewers, it was easy to forget that they were watching two professional actors following a script. Instead, they felt as though they were witnessing the story of two people who genuinely understood one another. That powerful illusion was one of the greatest achievements of their performances. With every new episode, the audience became more curious about the people behind the characters. Baris and Elcin were asked about their working relationship, their characters, and the popularity of the series. Their public interactions were watched closely by fans who wanted to understand why their chemistry worked so well. Sometimes the simplest moments receive the most attention. A shared smile, an easy conversation, or a playful exchange could quickly become something fans discussed online. For a viewer already emotionally invested in Omer and Daphne, these ordinary moments could feel like small pieces of a larger story. But there is an important difference between what audiences imagine and what is actually known. The chemistry between Baris and Elcin was clearly visible in their professional performances, yet there has been no reliable confirmation that the two secretly had a romantic relationship. That distinction matters. A television romance can be powerful enough to make viewers wonder whether the actors themselves feel something similar, but acting is built around creating believable emotions. Skilled performers can make fictional relationships appear authentic without those feelings existing in the same way outside the story. In many ways, Baris and Elcin demonstrated exactly why chemistry is so important in television. Their characters were not simply placed together and expected to create magic automatically. The performers had to listen to one another, understand the emotional direction of each scene, and react naturally. A successful scene depends on both actors giving and receiving energy. When one character becomes emotional, the other must respond. When one character becomes playful, the other must understand the timing. When the script requires silence, even that silence must communicate something. Baris and Elcin appeared highly comfortable with this process, and audiences noticed. That comfort created another layer of fascination. Viewers began wondering whether the ease they saw on screen reflected a genuine friendship away from the cameras. Again, friendship and professional trust can explain a great deal without requiring a romantic explanation. When people work together for long periods, they naturally become familiar with one another. They learn each other's habits, timing, humor, and working style. This familiarity can become visible in performances. What appears mysterious to an audience may simply be the result of two people who have spent many hours learning how to work effectively together. The success of the series also meant that the public was constantly reminded of their partnership. Promotional events, interviews, photographs, and fan discussions kept their names connected. Whenever either actor was mentioned, audiences frequently remembered their beloved characters. The fictional relationship had become part of popular culture, and that made it difficult to separate the performers from the roles they had played so convincingly. For some fans, however, the idea of a secret romance remained irresistible. They began looking back at older interviews and public appearances, searching for clues. Perhaps a certain expression seemed meaningful. Perhaps a particular answer sounded carefully chosen. Perhaps two people simply looked comfortable standing next to each other. Each small detail could become part of a larger theory. But this is where responsible storytelling requires caution. A facial expression cannot prove a relationship. A photograph cannot reveal someone's private feelings. And an ambiguous comment should not be treated as confirmation of something that the people involved have not publicly established. Still, the fascination itself tells us something important about the impact of their performances. Viewers cared deeply about Omer and Daphne because Baris and Elcin made their emotional journey believable. Their characters experienced misunderstandings, difficult decisions, moments of happiness, and moments of uncertainty. Audiences followed all of it closely. When the characters were separated, viewers wanted them reunited. When they shared a meaningful moment, fans celebrated. The emotional investment became so strong that the fictional romance seemed to continue in people's imagination even after an episode ended. This is one of the most remarkable powers of storytelling. A well-performed fictional relationship can become part of people's memories. Years later, viewers may remember exactly how a scene made them feel. They may remember the expressions, the conversations, and the anticipation surrounding certain episodes. They may revisit old clips and feel the same emotions again. Baris and Elcin's partnership benefited from this lasting connection. Their performances became associated with a particular period in viewers' lives, making the pairing more than simply another television couple. At the same time, both actors had lives and careers beyond the series. Their professional journeys continued, and their identities were never limited to the characters they played together. This is another reason it is important not to confuse fictional romance with real-life relationships. An actor can portray deep affection on screen while maintaining an entirely separate private life. The ability to make audiences believe in a fictional relationship is evidence of talent, not evidence of a hidden personal relationship. Perhaps the most interesting question, then, is not whether Baris and Elcin secretly fell in love, because there is no confirmed evidence establishing that. The more fascinating question